Okay, so the Howling sequels are mostly shit. Okay, they're fun shit, but yeah, they're still shit. Anyway, though, there is one movie instead of the original I think is actually good. The Howling VI.
Howling VI the Freaks being released 1991.
Yeah, sorry, that's all I got.
The movie was released 10 years after the first movie and took some elements from the third Howling book, Echoes.
And just like the first Howling book, I have not had the chance to read this yet. Truthfully, I do want to read the Howling books.
Anyway, this Howling movie is more like a traditional werewolf movie compared to the rest of the series, as Ian is a werewolf who travels around not wanting to be a werewolf, as he finds a town that he's happy, but circus comes in town and screws everything up.
Anyway, let's get into the movie.
Anyway, the movie begins with a woman being chased by a werewolf in slow-mo, and eventually it kills her.
Alright, I think that's a werewolf. I'm not sure. Whatever it is, though, the movie didn't have enough budget to show it, so it doesn't matter.
Anyway, we go to a desert where a man is walking through the desert, holding that same bear that the girl in the opening was carrying.
And this movie has some pretty good cinematography at spots, like this here. Truthfully, if they had a higher budget, maybe this movie would have been better.
Anyway, the sheriff goes to talk to the man, but he is British and looking for some work, but lucky for him, he's able to get a job where he can restore a church.
We have been blessed by the Lord. We have been blessed by the Lord.
And during the montage, this song plays, which I gotta say, while it is weird, it does give the movie a charm.
Heaven's in your eyes.
Anyway, Ian gets close to the preacher, but he gets even closer to his daughter, Elizabeth. But anyway, the circus is in town with a freak show as the church is back up as everyone wants to celebrate, but Ian doesn't want to go.
And it does make sense that he wouldn't want to get too close to anybody, because he doesn't want to get too attached, because he knows he has to leave, and he doesn't want to hurt any of them.
Anyway, the freak show is up as they got a new attraction as Harker introduces himself to Winston.
And Harker's a vampire, even though Harker in most versions of Dracula is not a vampire, though I guess in some versions he has been turned into a vampire, so whatever.
Anyway, the circus is open. Ian is there with Elizabeth, and he gets her a teddy bear. Anyway, though, they go through a spook house.
And I gotta say, it's not too bad. Most places wouldn't try. They seem like they're actually trying to be scary a little bit. It's not that good. Truthfully, you do need to improve that Freddy Krueger Norman Bates thing you got there.
Anyway, the two are stuck in there, but they get out and look around to find Harker, so they can see the freaks.
And Ian really does not want to be around Harker, which does make sense because, yeah, they'll explain it later. But the one thing that does not make sense is, why would Ian want to go in the first place? I think him being a freak would make him not really want to go, and I think he knew that Harker ran a freak show, so yeah, it really wasn't a good idea for him to go.
Anyway, they see some weird shit, and also Winston, who they're calling the Alligator Man.
Who didn't even want to be a part of the freak show in the first place, but Harker manipulated him into agreeing, which, yeah, is a dick move to be completely honest. And that must really suck for him because, yeah, he obviously does not like the attention of being a freak, so it gotta fucking suck.
Anyway, this dude bites off a chicken's head.
And yeah, while that was pretty damn cool, yeah, can we skip over this? I really don't feel like watching any more freaks anymore.
But yeah, they leaves. Harker knows that Ian knew him somehow, but anyway, it's time for Ian to get laid.
I hear you manage the bank.
Actually, I own the bank.
That must be handy if you need a loan.
Ah, I see, so she managed the bank. If you can manipulate her into giving you the money, then maybe you can get more money for your carnival, get all the shit more money, and so you get more people, so you can have more people to kill and eat. You're just gonna eat her, aren't you?
Anyway, Elizabeth wants to get close to Ian, but he can't let her get too close.
Which must fucking suck for him, because he obviously likes the girl. I mean, she's hot as shit.
Anyway, the next day, the bank manager's gone. Got no idea about the money, though. Anyway, Ian is there and getting ready to leave, as he's gonna leave without saying goodbye. But the dumbass falls asleep, and turns out it was a full moon that night.
Wait a minute, if it was gonna be a full moon that night, then why wouldn't you chain yourself up that night and leave the next night so you don't hurt anybody and you're chained up? Because if you were to leave, you can't really chain yourself up and you're more likely to hurt somebody, so why not leave the next day?
But oh well, this way you can turn into a very different looking werewolf compared to the rest of the series.
And yeah, this movie is kind of the black sheep of this franchise, and that's saying a lot because every movie is different in the series. Because, yeah, compared to the rest of the movies where the werewolf can mostly change at any point they really want, here Ian is turned by the full moon and doesn't want to be a werewolf. And I do like this, but the werewolf design looks a lot different as well. The werewolf design even 4 and 5 were better than this. I mean, it kind of looks like the Wendigo from Charmed, to be honest. It looks okay, but it's not nearly as good.
Anyway, now that Ian is turned, he goes out looking for some food, but Harker gets him captured and has a way of turning Ian into whatever the hell he wants.
Which might be very useful. You should probably get somebody to learn how to do that spell, so then you can turn back, or at least have a little bit more control over your werewolf form. And that way you can actually be maybe happy.
Anyway, they see that Ian is a werewolf, and it looks like Ian might have hurt them, but he wakes up in a cage so they don't show it. Anyway, Harker still doesn't really remember Ian, but Ian remembers Harker, and he swears that he's gonna kill him. But Harker tells Ian something that pisses him off, that while he was wolfed out, Ian killed Elizabeth.
Which I'll say right now is a goddamn lie.
Anyway, the sheriff finds some dead animals, which Ian, I guess, did off screen.
Well, look at the bright side. Ian only killed a couple of cows, so it could have been much worse.
Anyway, technically, Ian being kidnapped is illegal, but yeah, since he's a werewolf, that makes things kinda weird.
I mean, he still is a person, most of the time, so he doesn't deserve to be locked up. Unless he's about to wolf out, of course.
Anyway, the sheriff goes to see the boy, but Ian explains that he's the new entertainment, but lucky for him, Elizabeth is still alive.
And he's very lucky that she's still alive. It could have been much worse. Now I can understand why he's closed off. He doesn't want shit like that to happen.
Whatever though, the sheriff looks around, but Harker isn't there. Anyway, Ian talks to Winston about a cute little kitty he wants to keep.
And he's a nice guy. He might not be the prettiest guy, but at least he got a big heart to make up for it.
Anyway, Ian says that Winston isn't truly a freak like the rest, but that night, the sheriff speaks with Harker about kidnapping. But the carnival is gonna give them 60% of the profits they get, so they're gonna turn a blind eye as the show begins.
No one has ever seen a werewolf and lived. Tonight, dear people of Canton Bluff, you will be the first.
No, there is a person there who has seen a werewolf. That's Mary Lou there from Howling V. And yeah, she is credited as Mary Lou, though she doesn't come back for Howling VII for some reason.
Anyway, they turn Ian into the wolf, which is a very nerfed werewolf compared to the rest of the series.
And yeah, it's not nearly as cool. Hell, I got an idea. Bring Mary Lou down there, then we can have a werewolf fight.
But they give the wolf some food, but it's Winston's cat, but Ian will not let himself eat it.
Which means that Ian does have some control in his werewolf form, though this could be a side effect of the spell.
Anyway, the sheriff goes to the carnival to find the banker's body, and Harker admitting that he did it. And yeah, he goes to arrest Harker, but yeah, it doesn't really work out that well.
You do realize that you're supposed to put bullets in the gun, right? And yes, I do realize that it's supposed to seem like Harker stopped the gun somehow, but yeah, vampires don't have any ability like that to be able to stop guns, so yeah, he must be just a dumbass.
But yeah, the man, of course, is killed, and sadly, it's off screen.
Hell, the budget is so low that they had to reuse that shot from the first scene. Which does mean that now I know Harker killed that girl from the opening.
But at least they're able to show the body after he died, at least, making it seem like Ian did it. But there is something even more sad. These damn bastards killed this poor kitty.
You heartless bastards! I don't give a damn if you kill a random person, but don't kill a poor kitty, you sons of fucking bitches!
But anyway, Ian escapes from his cage, so yeah, it's gonna make it seem like it was him even more. And also, the mayor's killed. Anyway, Ian tells the story of how he got the curse of the werewolf and that Harker somehow turned him into a werewolf.
Yeah, I have no idea why he did that. I have no idea why Harker didn't use him as one of his attractions. But, yeah. I also don't know why Harker didn't know who Ian was. How many people has he turned into werewolves? I doubt that it's that many. Or maybe it was, I don't know.
Anyway, these two fuck, but Ian has to attack, as Elizabeth's father learns about the shit that happened at the carnival before. But Harker is there, but lucky for him, Harker, for some reason, does not kill him.
I'm not sure why he didn't do it. He easily could have done it without anybody noticing, but I guess it's just climax villain stupidity.
But anyway, he tells them that the priest says that they can just do it without him for now, as when they eventually do find Ian, they won't shoot him. But Harker has a temper tantrum and shows what he truly is.
I'm sorry, what is he again? Okay, so he is supposed to be a vampire. Truthfully, if nobody told me he was a vampire, I wouldn't have noticed, since he looks nothing like a vampire. Though, he does still look pretty badass.
But anyway, the priest kills a few of the freaks that were attacking his daughter.
Damn it, Harker, this is why you should have killed him!
But since Ian is his human form, he can't really hurt Harker very much, but lucky for him, Winston is able to turn him into a werewolf.
Wait, so turning somebody into a vampire is different every incarnation. So, will that turn him into a vampire? Because sometimes you're bit, it just turns you. So, will he be a vampire and a werewolf? Whatever, I guess it doesn't matter. Either way, he will be a werewolf.
And so now that Ian's a werewolf, he's actually able to give a pretty good fight, and he has a lot more power than Harker does.
But sadly, he's not very good at staking vampires. Ian, that was his neck. Well, I guess it doesn't matter because the sun came up. Of course, that was Harker's fault that he was out so late. Truthfully, he probably should have tried to kill Ian as soon as possible because the sun was coming up. So, yeah, it's your own fault that the sun killed you, Harker. And I gotta say, if this movie had a higher budget, that kill could have been kinda cool. It actually kinda reminds me of Dracula's death in Horror of Dracula.
Anyway, Ian and Winston have to leave, them both being werewolves now, as they ride off.
But yeah, this movie surprisingly has some pretty good cinematography points, though. Anyway, though, that was a Howling 6, and it was actually pretty good, surprisingly.
Yeah, I'm surprised I liked this movie as much as I did, because I watched Howling 4 and 5 before this, which were kinda shit. Don't worry, I'll review them eventually, but after that, I didn't think I'd like this one, but it was surprisingly good. The movie changes up the werewolves, and it's a very big change, but I didn't mind it because the werewolves work differently in every movie, so I didn't really mind it at all. And I thought Ian was a good character, him keeping his distance because he doesn't want to hurt anyone. Truthfully, I think I actually prefer this movie to the first, but there are a few issues. mostly with the budget. There are a few good shots in the movie, but the effects are kinda shit. I mean, this movie was clearly the lowest budget so far in the series, and yeah, you can see this in the werewolf design. Just, it looks weird, and I don't like the design, but the vampire design, well, I didn't even know Harker was a vampire my first watch because it doesn't look anything like a vampire. I do think the design looks really damn cool, and I thought Harker was a fun villain to watch, and I thought his performance was really good. And overall, The Freaks is surprisingly good. Hell, I think it's probably the best movie in the series, to be completely honest. I actually prefer this to first, which is kind of weird, but anyway, I actually thought it was decent. Even though it's cheap, it's still, I think, the best movie in the series. Better than the first, at least. Or at least I think so. So anyway, I'm going to be giving Howling VI the Freaks 4 out of 5.
But yeah, after this, I have to review the mostly shitty Howling sequels, which, yeah, that's gonna be fun. Anyway, it's way too fucking hot. I'm out of here.